Hello. Welcome to my session. Talking about spectacular dashboards. My name is Andre. I come from Zebra BI, and I'll try to present dashboards that are a little bit different. Hopefully, you will find them spectacular. But let's first check how do your dashboards look like right now. So, for example, if you do a Google search on the word dashboard, you'll get everything, right? You'll get everything. So one thing that you may notice here is practically every dashboard has a pie chart. All right, so I guess you've heard about pie charts before. In a couple of sessions, people warned you not to use pie charts, so I will not talk about pie charts here. Pie charts are not the main problem of data visualization. They are not the main problem of your dashboards. All right. The other thing that you might notice here from this picture is that every dashboard looks different. It looks differently, right? So people use their own, favorite colors, sometimes dark backgrounds, sometimes blue backgrounds, sometimes white backgrounds, and they fight about it. Oh, which one is nicer, which one is more beautiful, and so on. They're very colorful, and so on and so on. So just a very diverse picture here. And now if we take any of those dashboards, and now I ask you a question. If this is your performance for the period, like for a month or something, is this performance good or bad? Right? So, like, I'm a manager, right? I'm reading this every month or every day. Is this good or bad? What would you say? Yeah? It's red, so it's quite bad. Okay, good guess. Is this true? What does the red color mean here? So in this case, in this chart, the red means accounts payable days. So we are just encoding a KPI with the red color and a couple of other colors, right? So the more KPIs in this case, the more colors you need, right? And then moving on to the next chart, to the infamous pie chart here. So the red color here just means electronics. So something completely different, but exactly the same color. Right? And it's red, and it does not mean bad, okay? Here, the green color, it does not mean good, all right? But in this case, it actually means good. So it's kind of confusing, right? And if it's confusing for you, who are actually doing this, then it's even more confusing for the end users, right? Who don't have the time to sit, through 20 minutes of a session just to understand one dashboard, right? So that's a problem. Next problem, if it's good or bad, how good is it? And how bad is it? I mean, is it catastrophic? Do we need to take action right now? Or is it like, just slightly, below plan, but it's okay, right? And why, where, who is responsible for it, and what should we do about it? So the dashboard should be actionable. They should make you compare things, gain insight, learn about all the data categories that you have to such a detail that you actually understand what is going on and what should we do about it. So they should become actionable. All right, so just, you can just take any kind of dashboard. It's the same story all over again. Again, is this good or bad? It's a nice dashboard. I mean, it looks nice, right? You can say it's stunning, right? It's nice colors and so on, right? But this is not really about how beautiful is it, because the question of being beautiful, right? It's not about, is this the structure of my page here beautiful, right? The question is, what does the data actually say, right? What does the data say? What do the numbers say? So the beauty is in the numbers, right? Not in assigning colors to certain data categories, right? So in this case here, again, we have a lot of green here, but this is just one product, And we can understand that, all right, this Primus product has more than 50% of our revenue, or whatever this is, yeah, the revenue, right? And again, is this good or bad? It depends, right? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know, but how do you know if something is good or bad? If you compare it to something, right? So if you compare this to previous year, and you have good growth from previous year, that's probably good, unless you had a really high plan and you did not achieve the plan, right? So whenever you do a comparison, you learn about the number and you understand the number in its context. So that's extremely important when you build dashboards. So you have to be able to put in the context, you have to be able to compare numbers with the previous year, with plan, build time series and everything else that will help understand the end users, what the performance actually is in the whole context of your business. And of course, the data on your business is just getting, we have big data, but we have very, very small reporting. That's the problem. So that's why people, again, what do the colors mean and so on. What's Tina's performance in this case? It's really hard to say. In order to understand this chart, I need to visually compare the color in the legend, and then go back and check once again, is this color or that color? So this kind of lookup, like VLOOKUP right here, that we do visually here, is actually a very expensive operation in our visual system, right? So it's one of, it's just a bad practice to have all those colors and color legend. Not to say that, if somebody prints this and then they only have black and white printer, it will just not work. So one good test for a dashboard is if you print it out in black and white, or just, make the screen black and white, and if you still understand it, then that's probably okay. All right, so that's why many people are still using the infamous spreadsheets. We all know which product, was used to create this table here. And, all the spreadsheets, they still live, in parallel to all the beautiful dashboards that you are building. And the reason for that is that people have all the information that they need in this spreadsheet, and they don't have it in the new beautiful dashboard that you've just used like 3 months or half a year of work to build, right? And they're confident because they have their actuals, their budgets, previous year, all the comparisons, variance to budget, growth rates to previous year and everything, and then they still continue using those things, and it gets more extreme in some cases. These are all live cases, so hopefully this one is not in production anymore, but it's actually from one of our clients, an old system that was replaced by Power BI. But the learning objective here is people need the details. People need that kind of information to understand what's going on. And the dashboards that we are building today are just too simple and too trivial to answer people's questions and to help them with that. So how can we do this in a dashboard to join the data visualization and still achieve that level of detail, but of course make it understandable, make it visible, right? How do we strike this balance? That's, I think, the key to building really good dashboards. All right, couple of things that you need. First of all, you need charts, and you need good charts, and you need advanced charts. And in many cases, especially with business reporting, you need charts that enable people to compare actual versus budget and so on. So you need to present the variances. For example, here I have my plan. It was 23.1 million, and this is my actual here. It's 22.1 million, and this arrow here says we are 4.7% below the plan, which is not okay. That's why it's red. It's very simple. It's exactly where it should be. There are no color coding legends and so on. And then in between, I have the variances, so I understand, all right, what's going on, you know, month by month and so on, right? So, but this is just one chart. And then, of course, you need to add all the details for the people to understand, you know, the context. All right, if this is now 4.7% below the plan, why? You know, what caused this? You know, this is still not actionable. Just one chart, it's not actionable enough. You need all this detail to check what's going on, right? And so you need to put it on the same page, right? And here, if you then break this by, you know, by category, by product, by your countries, by your customers, customer segments, by accounts, by cost types, and so on and so on. So forth, you will eventually answer the question why, right? Which in this case, it's actually here, so we see the comparison to plan, the variance to plan. It's very simple visual comparison tells me, oh, here's the red part. And I also understand the extent of it. So it's not just, you know, like, oh, is it green, or is it red, or is it orange? That's not enough. You know, it can be red, but it's only 0.01% below the plan, and it's red. Or if it's 30% below the plan, which is dramatic, right? So you need to see the extent of the drama that your numbers are communicating to you, right? So you do this by including visualizations of the variances, of the changes, right? Because in the end, information is where the change occurs. This is interesting, right? All right, so this is one example. Next example. How do you achieve the greater level of detail? How do you present more information? So the information density that people actually need and search for in a spreadsheet. How do you do this? Couple of methods in data visualization. Most importantly, I would say, are the small multiples, right? So which means that if you had one big chart here for the whole company, how do you break this down by product? You know, instead of one huge chart, you just put more charts, one for each product, but not just, you know, stack them on your page, right? But take care that they are rendered in the same scale. So now, if I observe this, I understand, all right, this is my biggest, you know, this is my number one product category. Is it growing or not, right? This is the second one, and so on. Then I have some smaller ones, some less important ones. So immediately, because all the charts are rendered in the same scale, like the y-axis of all the chart is synchronized, right? I understand that this is not so important than this one, and so on. And I also see here from this picture, you know, that we have a problem, not really in our biggest category, but with the category. This is a retail operation. It's a demo by Microsoft, actually, so it's not ours. Chez La Femme here. So the category of women's clothing, for example, in this case is not selling well. That's really strange. But we can see this, right, that this is the major, sorry about this, major problem here. 30% and so on. All right, so you see, I'm building complexity here. I already have 10 charts on one side and a couple more on the other side, so 12 charts on one page. This can only work if all the charts are extremely clean. If you clean everything up, you know, all the decorations, all the backgrounds, everything, and you make clean charts, and you make sure that only important data categories are rendered with strong colors, like the variances, for example, in my case, right? So let me show you. So now you must be thinking, all right, how do I do this in Power BI, right? It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So Power BI has a lot of visuals, a lot of native visuals, but it also has a really beautiful concept, which is called custom visuals, right? So you can use custom visuals that can provide this, and let me just demo this. So We're in Power BI now, just in the service, and I will present the Zebra BI visuals. All right? So the visuals, these visuals are not on the app stores, but I'll give you the download link at the end, right? So at the moment, they are not on the app stores. They will be a little bit later, hopefully, but right at this time, I'll tell you the download link. So what we do now, I'll use, so I have two visuals here. The first visual is called Zebra BI Power Charts. And we use this visual to present trends over time. All right? So in charts, let me just drop in some sales. So this is now 18.9 million sales. Very boring. I don't know what's going on. So is this good or bad? I don't know. Let's split this by month first. So this is my monthly trend, right? So you're doing this monthly trend. I mean, it's still you still don't have the the knowledge. Is this good or bad? It could be just a normal seasonality, and unless you compare it to previous year, you don't really know, or you compare it to plan or something. So let's do that. Let's compare this to my goal, and I'll say, all right, this is a plan. And now the visual has changed because these visuals are completely dynamic. The visuals are completely responsive, and they will respond to the data that you put into the visual, and also to the space available for the visuals. And all right, now you see, now I got this chart. So I already have the comparison. The visual has calculated the growth from previous year or the plan and so on, so you don't have to use DAX and create all those measures for the variances and so on. If you don't like this chart, no worries, because this visual can present many charts. So just switch between them, right? This is not just in design time. The idea here is that the user can do this, right, and can switch, switch based on their needs. So this chart is more appropriate to observe or to compare each value, the values of each month, right? So in January we were below the plan for 21%, and then this is more or less on the plan, and is very good here, above the plan, 34%, and so on, right? So this is the column charts whenever you need to compare numbers for each month and so on. If you're more interested just like in the trend, where is it going? Is it going up and down and so on? Then maybe area charts or line charts are a better choice, right? So you've got everything packed into this one visual. And now the good thing about this visual is, for example, if you do it like this, and now on a dashboard, sometimes you need a very small chart because you don't have a space, and you just say, all right, we'll just put this small chart here. We'll just make it small and put it somewhere on the dashboard. You see what happened? So I have a small chart. It's very compact. All the information is packed into this little space here. But when if you make it bigger, if you do have more space, the charts will pop out. So the presentation is more, it takes more space, and it also presents more information. So it's not just that you get just the bigger chart with exactly the same information. If you have more real estate in terms of pixels on your screen, right, then use it to communicate more information, right? That's the only sensitive thing I think here. Now the small multiples, right? So now it's important here. How do I break this down? So for example, if I go back to my waterfall chart here, if I want to break this down by product or something, what will you do? You'll just click on the product. And now because I have added my product categories into my visual, I have everything presented in this visual. It's already scaled. Everything is already working, actually. And then everything you do on one chart, so for example here, if you need this in percent, that's okay. But if you click, this will change into, I don't know, dollars, or you will have both the dollar values and the changes. And this, of course, is done on the whole visual with all the charts at once, right? So you can just use it for everything at once. And of course, you can break the axes. They are completely flexible and responsive. All right, so Use charts with horizontal axis, right, to present time series. So your monthly data, annually, quarterly, and so on, always with charts that go left to right, right? But, everything else, like breakdown by product, breakdown by country, by cost types, and so on, cost centers, business units, do not use left to right axis. Use charts with vertical axis, all right? That's why we have another visual here, which we call the ZebraBI Power Tables. And for example, if I now have my value compared to my plan, and you do the breakdown by category, right? You get a chart with a vertical axis, which is much more appropriate for products and so on, because you will never have the problems with the labels. You know, if you do this in this chart, you'll have the problems with the labels. You'll have to turn the labels around, and then people will look like that, you know. And if you hate your boss, that's okay, but you know, this is much, much better. Try to have all the labels horizontally, all right? So, of course, this visual, again, is completely responsive. So, if you do have more space, you see the charts will pop out. You get the absolute variance to previous year or to plan, and the relative variance. And now, because I have the label here, let's use the label, right? You just click on it, click on the label, and it'll sort. Think about the sorting. Sometimes you just need to identify who are, you know, what are the categories that contribute in the positive way the most to this, you know, or what are the categories, the fastest growing categories, right? Or vice versa, you know, who are the laggards here, right? So just think about the sorting, do the sorting, but then again, the end user can do this function, you know, do this type of analysis completely on their own. All right, and now this works quite nicely in Power BI, because with the fantastic you know, flexibility of Power BI, with the cross filtering and everything else, you know, just with two visuals, you've created like 12 charts, and they work together. So if I click here on the woman's category, you see, I get the big detail of that, but if I control and click, you know, now I'm comparing, you know, the woman's clothing to the sales of the men's clothing and so on, right? And actually, I would say it's actually better not to use axis break, so it's always actually better that all the chart starts with 0, because only then do you really understand the relations between all the data categories, right? So which is quite important. All right, so I just wanted to show you another case, just to prove my point about the data density. All right, so for example, this has nothing to do with sales or finance or so on. This is our sales traffic on our website. And we have good growth here, right, on the whole website. But where does this come from, right? When you want to understand, if you need to understand, where does it come from? All right, I'll add my sales channel, my channels on the website. You see? And now, I mean, this is extreme data visualization here. But now I understand, you know, the reasons for this growth. You know, I see the organic traffic or other types of traffic, LinkedIn and everything else that we are doing, right? I understand where does this come from, right? So, and this gives you the real insight into data. All right, so I want to conclude with a picture of my dear friend, Dr. Rolf Kichert, who actually invented the system behind the product, right? And this system has been around for 20 years, actually. It's not new. It's actually quite old, right? But it's so complex that you know, it has never really been implemented on a computer platform before. So now in Power BI, this is all possible with the visuals, with the ZebraBI visuals, right? And So this is the man with our team. This was just taken recently, it's a month ago. And now this system is called the IBCS. So this is the concept behind the visuals, right? International Business Communication standards. And like all the, I would say, major companies are embracing this standard and are just trying to implement this. And this is now all possible with the Zebra BI visuals in Power BI. So I invite you to download the visuals, give them a try. And let us know what you think. We like to learn from, this is still very, very new, so if you can please download this and feel free to contact me. Try them on your own data and give us your feedback, please. And hopefully this will help you create better dashboards in the future. Thank you. Sure.